Welcome to Tavern Stories. I'm Kitty the Wolf, your hostess in the show, where we roll some dice and talk about the stories we enjoy, the stories we're a part of, and the stories that are a part of us. If you'd like to join us in the tavern during a live recording, you can grab a table in our Discord room. The front door to the tavern is through my Patreon to connect your membership to our Discord server. 2 levels of membership, Patron for $4 and Patron Plus for $8. The difference between the two is for the cost of a drink you can be seen on the screen behind us during the show, and for the cost of a 2-person round. You can see the bonus material in the loft level of the tavern, as well as participate in Q&As. The tavern is sponsored by Volante Design, which makes streetwear for nerds who game, watch, and read stories. What I'm wearing is the scavenger vest from Volante's original line. If you're looking for clothing that's tavern ready, look no further than Volante Design. Their high-quality handmade jackets bring main character energy into your everyday life, with official licenses from series like Assassin's Creed, Devil May Cry, and Star Trek, as well as plenty of original collections like their cyberpunk and modern ninja line. Volante Design has a jacket for whatever your lifestyle needs, ethically sourced and manufactured. Volante jackets are quality made and will last you for years to come. Go to Volante Design, VOLANTEDESIGN.US, and use code TAVERN for 10% off your entire order. That's TAVERN, all caps, for 10% off. Volante Design, stay badass. So, that's enough on my side. Let's go around the table. Thank you guys for coming, and it's been a good dinner and getting ready to enjoy some meat with you guys. So let's start with you, Dan. We'll go around and what kind of stories are you involved with, or what are you watching? What are you reading? What do you like to do when you're looking for a genre to get involved with?
Well, if I had any free time to read or watch anything, it's a little difficult with a new baby at home. But I have gotten my wife into Star Trek.
Hey.
Yay.
And that's been a fun journey because it actually started with the Orville. She's real into TikTok, and her TikTok suddenly was flooded with just different scenes from the Orville, and she liked it. So I was a fan of that show too, because it's basically Star Trek. Got her to watch that, and then we went through Strange New Worlds. Both of those seasons, which are fantastic. It's some of the best Star Trek I think ever made. And now we're going through Discovery. I've gotten her to watch one episode of The Next Generation. She doesn't quite like older looking shows. I did try. We made it through about 30 seconds of a TOS episode. No, that was not going to cut it. But I might be able to get her through some more Next Generation. I'm going to try that next. But we're getting through Discovery now. But since we have no time to watch anything, it's a slow pace that we're at now. So probably by the time we finish season 3, I think is what we're on. Maybe season 4. Then the last season will be out. So that's a very minimal. I've been buying a lot of books and just sticking them on the floor. I haven't even had time to build my bookshelf yet.
From your move to the new house.
Yeah, we just moved, so that's also adding things in. So
for anybody that's been checking out any of the earlier episodes, Dan has helped with the selection of the equipment and some of the construction of the earlier renditions of the song. And we've just been having a good time melding on non-guitar instruction kind of things as well. I'm also getting a lot of Dan deals out Beatles songs like somebody deals out drugs. He's like don't know anybody that can relate everything to Beatles as much as Dan can. So and I appreciate the first one's free, but you've been pushing more Beatles songs, and I've been getting into it. So
all right,
over to you, Matt.
So I haven't really been reading too much. I keep downloading books on Audible and then don't read them. Still trying to finish The Witcher. One of the books I think we talked about last time I was here that I need to start, called The Three-Body Problem. So it talks about the Fermi paradox like that, which is a cool book I got recommended to get into. But on that, video games, what I've been doing most of the time when I'm not either working, dealing with a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. So went from Starfield, went back to Diablo 4, just because they did some updates. But Starfield was a fantastic game. Like, expansive, that kind of sci-fi, right up my sci-fi alley. But other than that, that's all I've been doing. Like, not a whole lot of time to do anything else.
Well, thanks to you, I've been taking you up on your recommendation on Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
Not the movie. In fact, the book
Yes.
is nothing like the movie. So
Yes.
if you ever watch the movie, it is nothing like the book. There's no way to catch that up. They got like similar named characters, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. The characters, the planets and the characters are named the same thing. They're fighting bugs, but other than that, like, nothing about the movie is anything like the book.
However, the book is definitely worth the read. I highly recommend it. I'm not even done with it, but I'm going to be passing out like copies to people who listen. So, over to you, Chris.
I'm Chris. Chris the Librarian.
A couple of episodes ago.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Both you and Matt.
I watched what was it, Cyberpunk cartoon Edgerunners,
Okay.
which kind of dark in the end. I was not anticipating that. It got interesting, and because I just happened to be on Netflix, of nothing to do with sci-fi, Blue-Eyed Samurai, which gory, fun, very 17th century Japan. I did not know what to expect. I was pleasantly surprised. I won't spoil it for anybody. Finished watching Loki season 2, caught up on Strange New Worlds, which I agree, some of the best Star Trek I've seen in ages. I love TNG. I love Deep Space Nine. And then I kind of fell out of it. Voyager was fine. It just didn't seem to catch me the same way. And this was great. I like what they've been doing with the show. In terms of reading, we talked about I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I haven't read anything or gotten any more progress on anything from that since then, but
You definitely introduced me to some eldritch horror there, some good body horror. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
For those who have not seen the episode that Chris was on earlier, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a short story, definitely a must read if you are into stories where AI takes over. And an AI takes over, kills everybody except for 5 people, keeps them alive for over a century, just barely, grants them, like, it's kind of immortality with conditions.
Pretty damned heavy conditions, too. It's not you don't want this.
This is costly.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. I highly recommend the read. And I remember your phrase, more brutal, more base and brutal. And that was the piece that was the most intriguing to me. So I had to check it out. So now I have to get checked out. So
There you go.
It's sitting in my brain now. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So the way that the program runs, for the people who have not watched this before or who have not been on here before, we are going to assign 2 dies, with one with stories and one with topics. So for what I'm going to do is I'm going to jot down the topics, and then we'll give a minute preview of what we mean by the topics. And then on the other die, I'll jot down what stories that we are interested in trying to bring a conversation back to. And it can be video games, books, movies, history. If you do any role play, then I'm totally okay with, bringing it back to something that's role play related. And and then so you open up what the die that the topics has rolled on. You unpackage that phrase or that topic for a little bit, and then collaboratively we all try to steer the conversation towards what the stories die has rolled on. And when that topic is closed, it's because one of us has dropped a quote or a reference or a little bit of lore from that story. And then we get to roll on to the next die roll, and then do another 15-minute conversation on the next thing. So I'm going to jot these down. We're going to start with topics.
Dan came prepared, so
I put prepared in quotations.
I mean, better than I did, so.
Well, I was told to come up with 3 titles of hot takes or whatever. So I have that, and that is the level of repair that I have.
Let's go with it.
You want to know what they are?
Yeah. What you got?
The first is the Oprah giveaway.
Nice. Okay, the Oprah giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
And give us a preview of what that was going to be on.
All of mine are related to Star Trek. No, I'm kicking stuff. Yeah. So, basically, it's a really common story throughout all the different versions of Star Trek about some group, either having their rights questioned or being given rights. Whether it's the character Data, who's an android, and whether he has rights to, self-governance, or the holograms. Do holograms, if they're sentient, have rights to, leave their cage, so to speak, or create art? Or sometimes it's whole peoples on like a side of a planet trying to get equal rights.
Okay. So the Oprah giveaway. What's another one?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm. What you got there? I'm curious.
So this is more of the darker side of that societies could take, and it's I'll call them mistakes that societies have made, where they try to hide or get rid of undesirable portions of their population.
Okay.
So what have they done with these undesirables? What,
Are we talking like sequestering or annihilation?
Both.
Okay, so all the things.
All the things, yeah.
Okay. All right. So out of sight, out of mind. Third.
The third one is monkey see, monkey do.
I have brothers, so that resonates.
All right. What's that one about?
And that one is about how Star Trek has predicted so much tech that we have in reality now.
True.
Where we saw it there and then we made it. Maybe not because we saw it, but actually sometimes, like, for example, they actually had a real competition to see if someone could make a device from the show called a tricorder, specifically a medical tricorder, to be able to use sensors to assess your condition and make an actual accurate diagnosis.
Got it down.
I believe someone won $1 million for designing one.
What?
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Nice work if you can get it. That's kind of sci-fi across the board. Like sci-fi has sort of been ahead of innovation or has inspired innovation. So, but this one specifically will be on Star Trek.
Well, it doesn't have to be just Star Trek, but
We'll start with
that's
Star
what
Trek
I know.
and then we'll branch out.
I mean, if we get into the world of Star Wars, I'm not going to know much. I'll just make jokes about how I think it's terrible.
Yeah, that's fair. No worries.
Okay. So you got 3. Over to Matt.
All right. So let's see here. So we were kind of talking about it earlier. And it's one of the things that I adhere to is simulation theory. Basically, that we're all just living in a simulation, and basically it's whether or not what we're actually in is real. How could you tell if you're in a simulation? How would you be able to tell? So, like, you get punched in the face, and like, oh, well, I got punched in the face, so it hurt. Well, is that because you're real, or is it because the simulation is telling you it hurts and it's sending impulses to your brain because you're plugged into a computer or system somewhere? So,
Simulation theory. I hope Elon Musk is turning into you. Do you have a next topic?
Yeah. So this one is because I'm beginning this arguing with my daughter, 13, and basically, so the topic's going to be what makes a story, a type of story. Is it theme, setting, or genre? And the reason for this is because I'm teasing her, but I believe it actually is. So, Night Before Christmas is a Christmas movie. She says it's a Halloween movie. I'm like, no. She's like, well, it's the setting is Halloween. I'm like, yeah, but the theme of it is Christmas. The whole at the end of the day, he's saving Christmas. Like, that makes a Christmas movie. And just like one of my all-time favorite is not Christmas until I watched Hans Gruber fall from Nakatomi Plaza. That is a Christmas movie to me. So it's what makes a story a type of story? Is it the theme, setting, or genre?
What makes a story?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be writing these down? I haven't written a thing.
If you want to.
Yeah,
If you
can.
want to. Or-
I mean, I can just look off your papers.
Yeah,
Got him.
this isn't Algebra 1. Hell,
Yeah.
we are allowed to do that.
You can't remember this shit.
X
My
plus B.
brain stopped working a long time ago. It really did.
Yeah, mine is Roading Slowly. From Burning the Candle at Both Ends. Theme setting genre. Do you have any more?
So I can't remember if we did this one last time, but because I still have some of my old ones. All original ideas have been done, and all stories creations are just imitations.
We did do.
Did we do it? Did we actually get to it?
We didn't get to that.
Do we didn't get to it? Okay, yeah. So let's throw that. We'll throw that one in there. So yeah. So basically anything you watch now or any story, any idea is just a either better or worse imitation or knockoff of something that's already been done.
Got it. Awesome. All right, on to you, Chris.
I did not prepare, so I feel bad.
Well, that's number one. I feel bad.
Yeah, I feel bad. Honestly, our fascination with World War II and how it informs a lot of our science fiction.
World War II and science fiction. Okay.
Not just Star Wars, because they definitely do this all the time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Star Trek does it too,
Doctor Who, plenty of times.
and I don't mind it, but then I'll just leave it at that, because then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
What was one we didn't talk about last time? Because we got through a fair number last time I was here, right?
We did, actually.
We made-
went to some before.
We made very, very good progress.
I have a couple to offer.
Oh no, yeah, you're go what?
So, I have one called Earbuds and Song Bombs. And that is what sticks in your head, like songs, characters, stories, the emotions behind them, and songs being used as time machines, or songs also doubling as time machines.
Toto's Africa. Goosebumps every goddamn time.
Is that a cranberry ginger ale?
Yes, it is. Do you want?
I might actually.
Here, have that.
Just gonna pour a little bit in my Tavern Stories mug.
Yeah, by the way, there's merch, guys. Take a look in the...
Actually, that's not a camera. Where's that?
Earbuds and song. Speaking of World War II.
I guess.
Another
I
one.
only took a little bit if someone else wants to try.
Oh yes, I would very much like to. You want some?
Can you pass
No,
it
I'm
up?
good. I'm gonna try some of this mead though.
Got one called It Didn't Age Well.
Didn't age well. Nice.
It didn't age well, if we get to it, is the fact that when and how a story was told builds the way that people are treated. So, I just recently watched a whole bunch of 80s/90s movies. Some of them are fun, some of them not so much. But I keep asking, like, what would it take for it to survive today's audiences in a reboot?
Oh.
Because in some of these cases, the movie didn't age well, and how it painted characters also led to how people were painted in certain ways. Like whether it's like people with PTSD or people who were cowards or people who were failed fighters or, whatever archetype you want. So that one is, I've got,
Are we up to 9 or 10?
we're at 9.
Yeah.
I've got room for a 10th one.
Go for it. What do you got?
So since those of us who have been watching Star Trek, we could probably all jump in on this one. The War Ambassador. The trickiness about putting the war behind you and restorative justice in a story.
I know the episode you're talking about.
Okay. So, those are topics. It didn't age well. And the war ambassador.
I have 2 sheets. I'm supposed to be writing that much.
I mean, it's there if you want it, or if you feel like being theatrical, I'll go up and throw it at something.
I'll send secret messages to the camera. Hold on.
Stories.
Don't listen.
Okay, so we've got a full table. We've got a bunch of topics. I think if we all gave one story, then we'll all be able to jump in and fairly lengthy conversations.
Yeah.
Dan, what kind of thing would you bring any conversation back to?
I mean, I bring a lot of conversations back to the world of Star Trek, and in particular and not always entirely, but usually positive perception. Like, we have a positive future, basically. Humanity's not going to blow itself up. We may get to the brink, but we're going to carry on, and we're going to attempt to create and get very close to, at times, creating a utopia on the planet and also on other planets as well.
Okay. Any Star Trek, any one of the Star Treks in particular that you want to pose a challenge towards? Like, if it's going to be Strange New Worlds and it counts, or if it's TOS, then some of us might be SOL.
Well, Strange New Worlds lives in the TOS universe, so there's a lot of crossbreeding between the different Star Treks.
Okay, so we'll just go Star Trek General.
Yeah, we can go. Yeah, we can do broader IP and universe. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Matt, shoot.
So what?
Any of the stories.
And the stories to bring back to?
Or to inject into the moment as needed.
So I'm going to go the opposite route of Dan and be the pessimist and do. I'm pretty sure we're going to blow ourselves up or lock ourselves in the simulation. So, one of my all-time favorite books, and we may have talked about it last time, but Ready Player One is the epitome of, instead of the world blowing ourselves up in nuclear explosions or biological warfare like that, it's going to be, humanity's going to go out with a whimper, not a bang. So we're going to lock ourselves into a simulation because it's easier, nicer, and that's how it's going to end. We're going to all just starve to death in a simulation and not want to leave.
Remind me, you're into the book, not the movie.
The book far superior to the movie. The movie, if you've not read the book, is entertaining. If you've read the book, it's hot garbage.
Okay. Chris, what you got?
Generic 40K, because I've been playing that a little too much, and I love the stupidity of that entire universe. I love that there is no canon, which means you can make shit up, and it's just great.
Nice. I am throwing in. Screw it. I'll throw in Loki.
Hell, if we're going broad IP, you could inject the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe at your leisure.
I'm calling my shot.
There you go.
Loki seasons 1 and 2, in case I need some extra help in there. All right. Dan, grab a 4-sided die.
Oh, look at those big chunky dice.
Matt, if you can pull a 10.
4-sided?
4-sided. That would be the triangle looking one.
The pyramid of doom. Don't throw it into the cheesecake. I mean, unless you really want to, but
Is it 10?
The cheesecake will be fine. That's a 10, yeah.
Okay.
All right. And Matt, you got your 10?
Mm-hmm.
Matt, roll for topics. Dan, roll for stories.
All right.
Am I rolling into that thing?
Yes.
And I get out.
Yeah, it's fine.
7.
How do I know what I got? It's the pyramid's pointing to the ceiling.
It's a 4.
It's the top one.
Oh, that makes sense.
We must initiate you to the joy of all these things are polyhedral. Cubes are polyhedral. D&D dice.
I'm going to pass this back in your direction. Matt, in front of you is a dice tray for the next roll. So the 2 that we've got is World War II and science fiction and Loki.
World 2 and science fiction. 2.
Oh, we already rolled for the topics, but World War II and science fiction was, I believe, Chris.
Yeah.
So how this works: unpack World War II and science fiction as a topic, and those of us that can, let's steer it towards Loki.
So this is, whether it's Star Trek or Star Wars, I'll just beat on those because they're convenient and it's easy. So much science fiction takes a lot of its activity, its concepts and some of the core presentations of things. Like, I'll use Star Wars. Carriers and fighters and bombers attacking something big and bad. That's the cinematography, the action. It's all very World War II. Star Trek. Very naval. Not just naval in general, but very World War II naval. More American than anything else, but even in the original series, very U.S. Navy, specifically. More new life and new civilizations, but damn those Klingons who are awfully red for some reason. I can't figure out why. It's very confusing. It does this over and over and over again. And as our understanding has progressed, you get IPs like The Expanse. The books are great. The show is pretty damn good. And even that kind of plays fast and loose with some of these ideas. Because, like, it's hard to hide in space. We're not breaking the speed of light anytime soon. Probably never. Who knows? But we keep defaulting to this idea, and it's in everything. It's in anime, Battleship Yamato, which I remember that when I was a kid because I was in Hawaii and I got to see that crap on TV, and I thought it was great. Gigantic Battleship Yamato with a big gun built into the entire ship. Stupid as hell, but it was fun. And we just can't seem to get away from it. And when we do, it immediately gets either really, really boring or you get the rare thing where it's actually kind of fun. And I'm trying to twist myself into making it fit with Loki.
That's all of us. We can all kind of pitch in that. Actually,
I haven't even seen Loki, so I'm worthless on that part. But
like, Loki does, like, the TVA has a very, like, 60s and 70s vibe to it, which is very, very fun.
Yeah.
But, like, what looks cool isn't always what we want it to be. And when we've defaulted to, like, even like air combat today, even naval combat today isn't like this. Like, you don't see your opponent. Okay. If the United States or China and kind of Russia, their current events will be pushed to the side for the moment. Like, you don't necessarily see your opponent. And if you can, either you're not where you're supposed to be or someone has genuinely fucked up. Like, that's not how this stuff works anymore. And, okay, it's not always very cinematic, but, I mean, then there's Maverick Top Gun where you have a Tomcat fighting which admittedly was very cool.
It was cool, but it wouldn't have happened.
No.
You got blown out of the sky in half a second. But
Yeah.
So we still got to tie this back to Loki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause the only thing I could think of also was the aesthetic of the TVA was reminiscent of, like, post World War II, kind of like that. You could almost look at it as the, I mean, when in season 1, it first starts with the TVA, the hunters are very reminiscent of the bad guys from World War II, kind of like that. Like, they have the same color, the aesthetics, and that's one of the things, like, it happens in most modern day storytelling. If you want to make somebody off the bat appear to be the bad guy, so your audience knows the bad guy, you make them look like Nazis from World War II. It's almost always black and red suits, very formulated, very
well. It's more than the actual cut of the jacket, the shape of the helmet, like stormtroopers. And, like, Imperial officers from Star Wars, it's going to be so easy to beat up on it. I do love Star Wars, for clarity.
Stormtroopers are literally Nazi SS units were called stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was easy there. So it's easy to tie this back to Star Wars and Star Trek, but, like, getting back to Loki.
Well, so a lot of science fiction, in order to have us move faster at adapting to a storyline set in a different time or a different space, relies on schemas.
Yeah, and coding. Yeah.
So that gives us a faster idea or a faster arrival at that's the bad guy because of the cut of his jib, or the name is familiar, like stormtroopers. And we immediately recognize that's the bad guy group.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually apropos that when we look at something that has been so run over and studied, that World War II gives us a lot of material to steal from.
The coding is one thing, and I see that all the time too. but the mechanisms by which parties in the story engage, it's usually visual media. Like the idea of like a one-person snub fighter. Okay, cool. I think that's great. My great uncle, he flew a P-40 Warhawk. Like, okay, cool. Great. Love it. Even today, you have aircraft with one person, but in space, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you wouldn't do that. It doesn't even matter about the ship and the look and the coding and the schema that we use to otherwise categorize certain things. Something about that just really bothers me because I keep seeing it over and over and over again. Like, it's one thing if it was in, like, the 60s and 70s, because, all right, Star Wars, the very first movie, definitely leaned into this really hard. It looked cool as hell. But that was 1977. I keep forgetting that was from 1977. And that wasn't that long after everything.
No, the scars were still
Yeah, but
really prevalent in.
Yeah, like these were like this was the war of our parents. Let's make a movie and like we're gonna fold that stuff in. But it hasn't stopped. Like you can see it in some of the Star Trek.
Well, in Star Trek, they literally go to a planet of Nazis. In the original series.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they I guess they lost contact with their agent that was supposed to be observing this primitive race or whatever, and they come to find that he decided. Now I don't remember exact details of the episode. It's been a while since I saw this one, but basically they had trouble, and he took the Nazi government and implemented it on the planet to control the population to stop them from killing themselves. And yeah. And then, of course, Kirk and Spock and McCoy and all, they go down there and they're like, what are you doing? Like, this is not really, I mean, this kind of, the original Star Trek had a lot of episodes like where they had a world of Nazis, they had a world of gangsters, they had a world, because we left something there, or we influenced this race that was, primitive, and we influenced them some way and they copied what it was. In this case, it was literally the Nazis. Although that was less by like design of the war and more of like exploring how wrong he was to implement their government system to help control a population.
Right.
But that, again, not being very long, that was 2 decades after the war.
Yeah.
James Doohan, who played Scotty, fought in the war.
Oh, really?
He lost his middle finger. I can't remember which hand it is, but you never see that hand. He's always sitting like this or whatever, because he had it shot off when he was storming the beaches at Normandy. It was shot off. And so he always, and then in the movies, they just gave him a glove. So in the movies, he's always like wearing gloves, and you just never see. Yeah. But like in the show, like if he's like the 2 or 3 times he got to sit in the captain's seat, he's got his hand tucked to the side, and you can't see that he was actually missing his, pretty sure it's his middle finger, but my apologies to anyone who knows the right answer if I have the wrong one.
No, this is new information for me. This is
news to me too.
His autobiography is very entertaining. Definitely worth the read if you're into the original Star Trek cast.
Right. So I think I can solve this. I can fix the conundrum of how to tie Loki to World War II. So
do it.
Spoilers for anybody who has not seen it or intend to. So
spoiler alerts.
At the end of Loki, right? What does he do? So instead of because the entire time they're trying to control the system, he's trying to not prune like all the different branches, right? And so Kane, what's the name?
The man who remains.
He who remains, right?
He who remains.
He keeps pruning branches, which is killing and eliminating billions, because those are the people he does not want to.
He's killing whole universes.
Yeah, he's killing whole universes, right? So he's selecting the people he wants to, the sacred timeline, right? So if you look at like the main villain of World War II, right? He is pruning branches of the only certain people he wants to exist and going through. And at the end, what does Loki do? He, instead of trying to keep the system in check and basically allow this thing to go out, he blows up the actual the device,
the mechanism that's doing all the things.
He is a nuclear bomb. He has dropped a bomb on the whole system and is ending it's the end of the war, right? He's already defeated the bad guys already been defeated, but now the system itself, there's still one more part of the war that's going on. He drops a nuke on it, and then at the end, when he sits in the chair, it's supposed to be the tree, right? It's the tree of the
Isgardil.
9 realms. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
However, you could also view that as a mushroom cloud coming up as him sitting there.
Yeah, that the
and
last scene I was very confused
and
about
that
what I saw at first.
that
Yeah.
changes the entire, because after the end of World War II, after the dropping of the nuclear bomb, it changes to we're now in the nuclear age and a completely different world now with new set of rules, new everything.
To you, sir.
Oh,
Very good.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah. Okay, so that completes that.
Nice.
That's exactly how it's done.
Yeah, this definitely needs an ensemble. This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this.
Okay, so let's do another roll.
All right.
All right. So,
You guys go for it.
So am I rolling 10 or?
Oh no, you go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. You have the much prettier dice. No, we just did 7. We got to do something else.
All right.
yeah, do something else.
9.
All right. It didn't age well, and Ready Player One.
The movie. Oh.
It didn't age well. So recently, I watched Apocalypse Now and Redux,
Ooh.
and very, very in its time, a popular film, very stylistic film, and it was definitely a very impactful film because of the time that it was made in. There weren't a lot of films like it that were as that caught as much of a following as it did, and then that following sort of grew for multiple reasons as you went along. But if you look at how war was portrayed in Apocalypse Now, and how people who have come back from war, how they're portrayed, like by Sheen, by Marlon Brando. I mean, like how they're affected by it. It's very stylistic, a little cringy. Probably anybody that's actually come back from a combat zone is just like, this is a gross misinterpretation or hyperbole of what somebody who has come back from combat is like. So you have to kind of look at when books were made, or when books were written, when movies were made, as kind of on an arc. Like in the very beginning, like the same way that you look at athletes when they're starting out their careers. Think of any football player, think of any wrestler, think of any runner. You know, the fundamentals are getting improved on in the course of their career, but there's a lot of clumsiness in the beginning. I feel like the movie industry kind of went through that also. So I feel like Apocalypse Now, for instance, was going through was happening or was made popular during a clumsy part of Hollywood's arc towards making better stories. But the problem with that is when people were looked at after a movie like that, they are treated as clumsily as the story was made. So we look at the ways that when it comes to PTSD, how vets didn't quite get the level of care or understanding about what they were going through at the time. Vietnam War, for instance, was the first fully televised war out of the wars that the Americans had gone through. But the civilians that did not go off to war, they don't know anything about what war is like other than from the videos that they're shown, or the books that are written, or the poetry that was written by veterans when they come back from the war. So they're getting bits and pieces, but the more inaccurate and stylistic these bits and pieces are, the worse that treatment or the approach to the people who have actually been through that kind of conflict becomes. So I mean, like all three of you are fathers. If everybody who had ever no, not you,
Not me.
not a father, 2 of you are fathers. If people who didn't understand fatherhood got their idea of what fatherhood is like from Look Who's Talking, I mean, I don't know what level of accuracy you think that is, but I mean, would you get tired of people coming up to you over and over and over again with the wrong assumption or the wrong impressions of what you need or how you need to be treated?
I wake up every day saying, I'm John Travolta.
I mean, I can see it. It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's in the facial structure, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you flip your hair that way, I mean, I can just see Saturday Night Fever.
Absolutely. Do you have a leisure suit? Nice bright white black shirt.
You know, I used to.
Nice.
So I'm a performer. I'm a musician. I have,
Oh, right.
or
Yeah, yeah.
used to have a lot of really weird clothes
Nice.
because random things come up when you need something. Either it's for a music video or it's for like one random performance or Halloween. Like the bands would have to dress up for Halloween, and sometimes we were told what we had to be because there was a theme for whatever the event was we were performing at, and so you get a whole bunch. Like at one point, I had a really large collection of sequins shirts that each one wore one time, and that was either for a Halloween or some video or something. But it was
Fun.
substantial. I have gotten rid of all of them since.
I think Apocalypse Now, that was one of those movies. I'm not that old. I'll need to talk to my dad later. A lot of war movies, they weren't always warm and fuzzy. They weren't all full-on war propaganda. But I think they were still kind of sanitized in what they showed on screen.
Right.
I think Apocalypse Now might have been one of those first movies that weren't even pretending to dial back some of the more unfortunate sides of that specific conflict. Because I think that war was, PTSD, okay, we called it shell shock, we called it battle shock, we had other names for this phenomenon, we just didn't really treat it very kindly for a long time, especially with more modern warfare. And now we discovered something else in how we deployed our uniformed services personnel in Vietnam. And we didn't know how to square it, because this wasn't World War One. This wasn't World War II. This wasn't us invading Cuba the first time, not the other time that didn't really work out. We have like the myth of the good war, or the story of the good war. Sometimes World War II, we're gonna ride that one for a long time. I think we hurt ourselves a lot in Vietnam, and we didn't know how to show it.
Yeah, well, so the problem with Vietnam was the fact that it was the first war that was actually televised. So World War II, you think about it. So anything that came from World War II was coming through the military and the military itself. So
Yeah.
recordings, and you send it back as propaganda to get funding back from the war bonds. Go buy your war bonds, turn your medal like that. You got to fight the evil. Okay, it was propaganda because that's both sides do propaganda. Vietnam, you literally had reporters and cameras on the ground filming, and it's the first time the public actually sees what war is, how war actually is. War is always awful, right? So basically, from Fallout, what's the quote? War never changes, right? It's the same. War is horrible. World War I, the first opening hours of World War I, 100,000 people died because the invention of the machine gun was something that no one was expected, and they walked into a hail of bullets, and they died. 100,000 people died in an hour. But we associate like, how devastating, how bad Vietnam was, is because it was televised. Like it was literally televised.
Yeah.
It broadcasted to the American people and the world, and went, that's horrible. I'm like, well, that's war. It's always been that way. Me being had been a cop for 15 years, people watch one video of a police brutality video and do, oh my God, look how horrible this is, or how horrible like cops treat this, or how horrible people are. I'm like, that's what happens. Society functions because people want to believe that stuff doesn't happen. It happens in the dark. It doesn't.
Or it doesn't happen to the wrong people.
Everything's good. The good guys always win. Norm Macdonald has a great quote, and he does. Have you ever read a history book? It's crazy. The good guys always won. Like, yeah, because the victor writes the story, right? So they changed history to say, yeah, we were fighting on the good cause because we won. If we had lost, American Revolution. If we had lost, they'd have all been killed as traitors. So, and that's instead of being called as patriots. So,
if you think about movies about We were talking in your episode about.
We talked about a lot.
Yes, we did. how mad that you got at that scene in Stranger Things when they were going through the microfiche and.
Oh yeah, like the joy, like we don't like the victors write the history books, but they don't rewrite history.
Yeah.
Finding the truth to a story. I love those scenes in those, like, have you seen Stranger Things? Or any scene where it's like it's a cool library, they've got the green shaded lamps, it always looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
No one has those anymore. It's very sad.
Yeah.
And there's this machine over in the corner. If you've ever been near one, it sounds like an aircraft taking off when you turn it on. It's from the 1970s because it was built in the 1970s. And it's like hours, weeks, months of your life going through reel after reel after reel to find like the 5 little pieces. Like, oh yeah, there's the history. There's the thing that actually happened because someone did report it the way as close to the way it happened. We firebombed the crap out of Japanese cities. We bombed the crap out of German cities.
Yeah, firebombing at Dresden was worse than the nuclear bomb of Hiroshima.
Yeah, it's lots of terrible things. But we could tell ourselves that it was the right thing to do, and we didn't really question that until after. I think we started questioning Vietnam. Again, the information was not necessarily being run through a liaison office. Like, oh, you want to write this? Well, you can't write that. You can't write that. You can't write that. You can't televise this. You can't send these pictures back. Because there are some very specific pictures that even now, like, yep, that's now Ho Chi Minh City, and that's what happened there and there and there. They're iconic. But I don't think that necessarily covers the same kind of focus that America has with things like Apocalypse Now.
Right.
Because I think how it was portrayed disrupted the nature of the story we tell about soldiers. It's not always about glory. Now you're fighting for the guy next to you. Well, what if you're not fighting for the guy next to you?
Like a story like Apocalypse Now gets told very differently from the story of like Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Because of when it was crafted. I mean, if you think about stories about what's the worst story about a band or a singer that you've ever seen, Dan, and then compare it to like a really good biopic about somebody more recently.
Oh, I'd have to think for a long time about the worst story I've ever heard of a band or something. Like the worst thing that they've ever done,
the worst movie that ever came out about that band or about that musician.
Oh, well, there's definitely been some subpar movies that, like biopic movies that people have made of the Beatles, where they just get like facts wrong. But
wasn't the Freddie Mercury one just kind of shit?
Oh, the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a lot of things wrong. Like they even get the timeline wrong on some stuff. Like,
yeah.
And it's like that's pretty basic. We know what year that song came out. Why are you changing that? That doesn't make any sense. Or like they all got pissed at Freddie for wanting to do a song, but they had already done a solo by then.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's dramatic licenses at that point because, like, even as crazy and awesome as some of these people's lives are, it's still not going to be entertaining for a 2-hour movie to keep somebody in the seats. And you have to every story, and you start telling a story, even if it's like the greatest story is a part of you. The Nick Swartzen used to tell this joke is all the time. You start telling a story, and half of the story you do. The story's really bad. Then you start making up stuff like, then Brick killed it. Then she stabbed a guy. What? I've known him my whole life. Yeah, don't go drink with that guy. And you start making things up because you want it to be entertaining because you start losing the audience. People go in with the expectation, it's rock stars. It must be crazy stories. And then you start telling the actual story, and it's not as crazy as in their own head. So now you have to do, we have to elaborate on this. We have to change the story. We have to make it better.
Make it more dramatic. Like, it's like, I'm pretty sure a lot of them, like, you wake up in the morning and you have your bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
And you try to make sure that one has his shoes, that one has her shirt on, and they get in the car to go to school or get on the bus. Actually, what was the one?
If it goes that easy, that's a fiction
movie. Yeah, that's also a fiction on itself.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of the movie Jarhead. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
I've seen parts of it, yeah.
That one was probably the closest to reality I've seen because it's... Have you ever... Hurry Up and Wait?
Mm-mm.
It's a great phrase in the military because you will do a whole lot of work and then you're going to stop and you're going to wait.
Yep.
And you could wait for hours, you could wait for months because you have done everything you are supposed to do and now you are just going to sit on your hands and wait for something else to happen that you then get to do. And a lot of Jarhead is a whole lot of Marines sitting in the middle of the desert being told to hydrate, run around, do all their things, and then that's about it.
When you've trained these people to be highly trained and motivated to kill other people, and they have no one to kill. So now they're sitting bored in a desert without the actual task you've trained them to do. That you're gonna eventually start having problems.
Or it's just a whole bunch of guys who are between the ages of 18 and 22. Yeah. There's some older guys there to try and keep the younger guys from being too stupid. But let's face it, what the hell was it? I remember reading something about how many injuries and accidents happened after formal combat operations ended in Europe in World War II. Why? Because you have a whole lot of guys with a lot of really cool toys, very lethal toys, and nothing to do. So a lot of PT, a lot of physical training. But in this, they were still very well disciplined, very capable. They weren't screwing around that much, but then okay, they're going to drive into the desert. Everything they went to go after was largely already destroyed. And they were almost the mopping up group. And it doesn't end in a satisfying way. And for me, that's kind of the best part, because these kinds of stories don't end in a satisfying way. They never do, because it's life. Yeah. It doesn't end with a grand climax. It's, I think it ends with the Marines you'd been watching this entire movie staring at oil wells that had been set on fire. Yeah. It's okay, here we are. We won.
Which wouldn't have been as satisfying a movie to watch back in the 70s.
It would have been really boring. It actually was kind of a boring movie, but I think it portrayed... And also, if anyone has seen that movie and it doesn't end that way, I apologize. It's been 10 years since I've seen it.
No, I'm pretty sure it ends
It ends in a very weird, kind of very abrupt way, I think. I'll double check this later, I'm sure. But yeah.
Another one would be if you are looking at somebody who's preparing to be an astronaut or preparing to be a hacker or preparing for
anything,
any kind of technical role. I mean, what the movies will do is they'll fast forward through what would be considered the boring parts.
The montage. Yep, the montage.
Yeah.
Or they'll do the montage. But the montage, for instance with Rocky, that one shows training as something really exciting. But I mean, training for wrestling, training for a gig.
I ran up those goddamn stairs not 3 days ago. That was not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Why he was cheering at the top of those stairs, I don't understand. Also, Philadelphia, you have a very pretty city. Don't stop.
There's if you watch earlier movies that were made about any of those experiences, they need rebooting badly in order to really capture what any of those experiences are like or better. Learning to be a hacker, it's not click, 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 enhance, click, 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 enhance, or, cracking the mainframe and then everybody cheers for you or anything like that. I mean, it's actually a lot more boring than that, but that wouldn't have sold movies back in the day unless they were super glorified. And I think, if you look at the way that the movies represent those people now, it actually makes better sense how those people have been treated through the years in any of those genres. They've been treated inaccurately or with a poor understanding.
Yeah.
People saying, no, but I saw the movie about where, you run up the stairs and now you're fit and now you can box and everything. So
I can't box. Absolutely not.
I think the hacking analogy is the best one. So there's a movie. I used to love the movie called Swordfish, right? So
I remember that movie.
And he has 9 computer screens. He's typing away. He's that's not how hacking is. I'm in my master's course I'm in. Had us download a game you can get on Steam. It's called Hacknet, right? And you literally
that is
and you're hacking. I literally got through the first couple the tutorial and the first mission. And I was I have no idea what the hell I'm doing because you have to get proxy computers and get this, that, and get firewalls. and it's somewhat like the game is designed it to where it's a little bit more exciting than that probably would actually be, but it's much more in line with how hacking would be. And so, yeah, the whole concept of let's make things more exciting, just yeah. So hacking, I think, is one of those things that it does not. It's not that it doesn't age well; it just doesn't transpire well. And so, like, so Ready Player One, the movie, right? So in the movie, so I can't get back to the book yet because
I was totally forgetting that one.
I'm playing the game. So I'll do this for the movie, right? So the book is a little bit different because the book I think actually transpires it ages is aging very, very well. But where the movie, where the topic kind of gone with this is in the movie they portray gamers like this weird, like, oh, the way to solve this the first mission, right? The thing to try to start unlocking the book is this huge thing, this whole process where it's set on a planet, as a free planet, everyone can do all like that, and you have to actually know the history of the creator, like the guy who sets this whole thing in motion to get his fortune like that. In the movie, it's drive backwards on a race course. I'm like, you know how many times I've been drunk and driven backwards on Mario Kart because I was bored. Or forgot, I fell asleep. I'm like, you're telling me out of millions and millions of people, no one tried this, not one person. I'm like, it does not age well. Or not so that it doesn't age well. It doesn't transpose well. Yeah, translate well.
It's a cute idea, but it ultimately fails a basic test of logic.
They're trying to take this concept because in the book he has to know about D&D. He has to know about the history of the actual. But he studied for 5 some years, studying this guy's entire life. Learns everything about the 70s and 80s because that's what the guy's obsessed with. So he knows everything about it. And there's a whole following behind him. Like there's a whole people.
Oh yeah, like the
egg hunters, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So they that's his whole life, right? So people have dedicated, and as he starts figuring this out, it gets easier and easier. So more and more people can. Now it's a race, but at the beginning you had to figure out where to go because he had to be that smart to do it. But in the movie, they dumb it down because an audience doesn't want to have to you're reading the book again. Why books are always better. You're reading the book, you can be much more complex. In the movie, he drove backwards, and then the second one, they go to a haunted house. It's The Shining, the movie Shining, not even the book. And you do that's not the second. That's not the second quest in the other one. He literally goes in and he replays the actual. It's literally if you went into a movie, not like hey, I'm doing a virtual simulation like that. You're in the movie and you have to do line for line from movies and your inflection like that. And he's doing war games. He plays war games.
Oh, okay.
So with
Matthew Broderick,
and that he has to reenact the entire movie and the more points you get like that, otherwise you fail. And it's a new game that's put in that the guy creates. It doesn't get unlocked. So that's why the book is I can go on forever why the book is so good, but yeah. So it's not so much that it doesn't age well; it just doesn't transpire well when you try to take a great idea or something very you need to know about, and then try to dumb it down for people to watch on the screen. You do. Oh yeah, he drove backwards on a race course. You do. No, any actual person who has any idea about gaming would ever do. Oh, that's amazing. I can't believe you figured that out. No, a 4-year-old would have done that. So you would have
literally yes, a 4-year-old would have done that 5 times.
It's stupid. It's the stupidest concept I've ever seen in a movie. So, rant over. I hate that movie.
I think we got this one.
Yeah.
We got the loop. Very good.
Yes.
Good job. Let's do this. I'm going to do a quick plug.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Pour drinks if you feel.
Yes, I'm going to grab a drink. I'll be right back. Find something.
So, really cool thing. This episode is also sponsored by Loathsome Wind.
Oh yeah.
How loathsome is this wind?
This wind is how loathsome would you say?
It's quite loathsome.
Oh my gosh.
Super loathsome. Loathsome Wind is the band.
Was that? Oh, your ring. Okay. It's like you just do that with your hand.
Lead singer.
Yeah, lead. I'm the guitarist, the lead singer, the songwriter.
And they can also be found at www.loathsomewind, LOATHSOMEWIND.com, as well as in the show notes and on YouTube and Spotify if you search for that band name, Loathsome Wind. They have pretty zany songs and music videos, and you should definitely check them out. There's also a free sample at the end of this episode. Anything you want to say about the group or the songs or process?
Listen at your own risk. With quite a few of our songs, we try to have a point. Like, I think the first one we'll put at the end of this episode, we just released earlier this year, although there's a re-release of it. But it's a song called Don't Touch My Butt.
Nice.
It's great.
I mean, that's a solid concept all right.
Yeah,
you
I
shouldn't
mean,
be touching people's butts. That's
a
a
general
But
rule of thumb.
that's it. It's the song is about consent, and it's about proper consent. And
okay, cool.
it was a challenge to take that idea of how can I write a song about consent and make it funny.
That's funny.
And so I thought it was funny that I'm saying, hey, whoa, don't touch my butt.
There you go.
There's actually usually.
I should be lying. This is a serious topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
The music video is animated. You would love this. And
I mean, I wrote it down because I now am going to be looking up Loathsome Wind later. The plug has worked already.
All right. We have a fan. Potentially.
There's some other great song titles that you've run by me during our sessions, and I remember there was one, Flush the Turd.
Yeah, that was the single we just released last month. Flush the Turd, yes.
Which was in specific to an ex, or not an ex.
Not an ex, but a very close friend of mine who, I mean, I'm sure we've all had this experience where you have someone that you're very, very close to, and they are with somebody who is just a total horrible human being, or potentially abusive, like this one. She was in a relationship, and he was verbally and physically abusive, and just wouldn't leave. Eventually, maybe kind of has now. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it came out of frustration from that scenario. And again, you face the challenge of how do you make this funny?
That one's the Frisbee one, right?
That's the one in the music video. We're throwing Frisbees.
And
yeah.
Okay.
This is what we've signed up for. This is good.
Okay. Now, after doing a very quick search, how noble are your gases? Are they... They're extremely noble, yes?
Quite.
Oh, very good, very good.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So definitely Loathsome Wind, check it out. Not just on Spotify and YouTube, but other places, correct?
All the streaming platforms.
All the streaming platforms.
Pretty much. We're out there.
Excellent.
And doing any tours? Any venues?
No,
Are you on call?
yeah, well,
Sing at people's doors if they have an abusive boyfriend?
yeah, well, yeah, I guess you could pay us to come and sing that. That would be interesting. We're going to start playing live again soon. We're getting some new, well, we had been getting new material. We had released 2 new songs. We recorded those. We made those videos. We have another brand new one also about a sensitive topic that was challenging to make funny. It's about stalking. So we're really excited about this song. I actually think it's my best, and we're excited to go record that and release that. So our focus is we're going to release a Christmas single coming up. So we're going to record that actually Tuesday night next week.
Nice.
And we don't know what we're doing. The video is probably not going to be that elaborate, but we're going to have that released as soon as we can, and then we're going to record this other one. So we're kind of focused on those. And not as much live performance, but we are going to try to hit up some open mics and just start playing some of the new material.
I'm stoked.
Cool.
Check out a couple of the videos, but in particular the animated one that came out recently.
Is that the butt one?
That's the butt
Yes.
one.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
There it is. I see it. There's several. Okay. Official video. Okay, I found it.
Loathsome Wind, check it out. All right, so we have another roll ahead of us. Let's give it a shot. So, someone pick up a 10.
I got a 10.
All right.
Dan, pick up a 4. Tell you what,
All right.
Ready?
like a cartridge, blow on it, and then
Mhm.
We've got an 8.
And
Bad.
That's what we'll call a cocked die, and we will.
that die is so hot.
Two.
2, we already have 2.
And do we already do? Reroll it.
4, we already did 4.
I think we did.
2 again.
We need a 3 or a 1.
The other
You
possibility.
know, we
Alright.
should just probably pick 1 or
Let's
3.
try
Yeah.
1.
1, there we
There
go.
Star Trek.
There you go.
Hey, this is why we're here.
Yes, exactly.
You're dressed for the part. You're ready.
Mhm, yeah.
And I've got nothing to say.
All right, so earbuds and song bombs is the topic, and Star Trek is the stories. So earbuds and song bombs. What do I have to say? That is the one where, if you think about stories that stick in your head, if somebody drops a reference to like what we're kind of doing here, we're dropping lines or we're dropping references. It kind of does the same thing where it populates in your head the same way that a song, just kind of circulates in your head. You can't get it out. There's actually some science behind that. So with regard to both stories and songs, there are emotions that are associated with those. Any of us that have more than one way to interpret a song can identify with that. If it's a song that takes you back to a breakup, or a song that takes you back to that first dance with whomever, or summer of fill in whatever year.
69.
There you go. So
It's a great song. What can I say?
and now you got that in my head. Thank
You're very welcome.
So the singer was never born anywhere near.
No,
69 to be playing guitar and going to the dime shop, like the corner store. Like the dude's as old as me. I'm
Who
like,
the hell
dude,
was that?
Brian Adams.
That was Brian Adams?
Yeah, he was born in like 78, something like that. There was no the summer of 69. He was not even born yet. Like, it's the dumbest song.
I don't even know why. Like, there's no backstory to that song.
No, that's a nostalgia. That's early nostalgia bomb.
Yeah.
Nostalgia bait. That's what.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take this up.
Yeah.
And tie this back to Star Trek immediately, but we're not going to stop because that's too easy.
Mhm.
I have on my phone downloaded the theme for Deep Space Nine because I love that orchestral classic intro.
I listened to it on the way here. Literally.
Yes.
No kidding.
You're my people. You had it for the original series.
Mhm.
You had it for Next Generation. You had it for Deep Space Nine. You had it for Voyager. Can't remember what happened after that. Then we had the other
We don't
one.
want to talk about the theme for Enterprise.
Yeah, it was weird rock ballad thing.
Yeah, no, we don't want to.
And
It definitely wasn't inspirational. Yeah, all the original ones were all like have that inspirational kind of like feel to them. Like,
yeah, and I for years, I was a kid. What did me and all my brothers and my dad? My mom had nothing to do with any of this. She had other things to worry about. She thought it was all kind of silly. We would trump down to the basement, sit on the couch, and watch Next Generation. I like hearing that song. I like hearing that music.
It's
Hell,
a pump up track. The Next Generation theme.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's big. It's explosive.
Like even other songs like Skinnerd. Not my favorite band, but when you get to Freebird to that one spot, everybody loses their shit. Everyone wants to just drive their car. There was actually like a meme video of some idiot was it in Georgia or Virginia that actually like saw like the flatbed tow truck.
Yep.
Just decided, oh, it's down to pull somebody up. The intrusive thought, clearly. And they just went over it. And of course they're gonna link that to Freebird. I don't think it actually happened that way, but of course.
I would link it to what is it, Gone in 60 Seconds. Like when he jumps, remember the movie?
Oh, yeah.
He jumps Eleanor over there. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
certain songs like I'm not sure why I like Toto's Africa,
Mhm.
but I really like that song, and I literally do get goosebumps almost every time I hear it. But that's just how those songs make me feel.
Yeah.
And it's such an integral part of that Star Trek aesthetic that too, as you said, we don't talk about that other series because, yeah, it was fine, but damn, the intro song was just not right.
No, it wasn't.
But-
and you know, like if you watch like the later seasons, they switched to a instrumental version.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Because I got like 3 episodes in and I'm like, the episodes aren't that great. And
Have you not seen all of that series?
No, I missed that. A few episodes in, I was like,
No.
yep, you lost me.
I did the same thing when it aired. I stuck out from most of the first season, and I was like, this just is not as good. I went and rewatched it about a decade after it aired, and when you had to get the DVDs from Netflix in the mail.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how I watched
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And once you get past the growing pains of the series, in particular, seasons 3 and 4 are really, really good. It's really good Star Trek. The first 2 seasons, not as good. The ending, the finale, is atrocious.
Oh, well.
Watch
yeah.
every episode.
Yeah.
Don't even bother with
Yeah.
the series finale.
See,
It's
that's how I
gonna
felt
be-
about Lost, but like the first 3 seasons of Lost are really good.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never watch
And
it.
then you just
watch
stop
it.
and save
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the music side, was that what we were talking about?
We were talking about
Well,
Yeah,
ear-
the
earbuds.
the
yeah,
earwig thing.
Yeah.
but
But like, I'll use the Star Wars theme. Really iconic. However one feels about the rest of the content, the score is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about it earlier as well. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Yep.
The soundtrack is it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's thematic, it fits the overall story, it's paced extremely well, and it's just...
It's good music.
Yeah,
Good fun.
I'll stop talking.
Yeah, but because you can completely change a story or like that with just like theme. Like, you ever seen like the reels? Like, the fun is like takes on a completely different feel if you put like porn music to certain like movies or sci-fi's. It's hysterical because like you watch and you do, oh yeah. Or they'll take like Mrs. Doubtfire and make it into a horror movie just by changing the sound effects or like
Yeah.
Wow.
and like
Yeah.
you clip it and like I'm like, music for the most part, like, people don't realize how influential music is, and so it can do smell and sound are
Yeah.
more important to memory than sight, because what you an eyewitness going back to my cop kind of days, an eyewitness statement is damn near
Useless.
worthless.
Yeah.
People do not remember things actually as they see them.
Yeah.
Now, the smell of something is going to bring back memories to you. The sound of something, a music, you hear a song and you instantly go back to, because like when I hear the Star Trek intro, I go back to college with two of my roommates. We would play this thing called STMB, Star Trek and Beer. We made a list of all these different things that if something happened, you had to drink. So anytime you saw the Enterprise orbiting a planet, you had to take a drink. Anytime there's an unnecessary feat of strength, like somebody rolls under a wall, a door closing that's 10 feet in the air,
yeah.
you had to drink. Anytime Worf looked angry, anytime
Every time Worf got Worf.
So you
yeah.
guys,
Oh, we were
got
wasted by this
yeah.
episode, episode 2. But it's like stuff like anytime Wesley Crusher looked like a tool, you had to drink. So that was every time he's on screen.
Poor
But so
Wes.
the reason I bring it up also is one of my roommates at one point went to a convention and met
oh, nice.
Jonathan Franks and that's the STMB list. He actually said he was like, so he made a copy for him and gave it to him. So, but yeah, so I immediately go back to that worm bug of like, I remember standing around and my girlfriend / now my wife at the time would come in and she would see the three of us dancing around like idiots to the Star Trek theme because we're massively drunk because we've been watching 3 episodes of Star Trek and just drinking to this ridiculous list that we made up. And though that kind of memories, are
Moralistic speech. You got to
Yeah.
drink. Finish
Yeah,
your beer, man. Yeah.
make it so, and when they fix their
Oh, he does the
uniform,
tug down.
Card
the-
maneuver.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the only reason they did that was because the uniform, the costume was so uncomfortable. They kept running up.
Spin.
Right. No, it would like ride up a little
right
bit.
up.
He
He
kept
constantly pulled it down and became iconic. So yeah,
Yeah, we used to. There's a couple Star Trek board games that some friends and I play, and we would just I'd make a custom playlist of Star Trek themes and
yeah,
other just pieces of music from Star Trek episodes, and like we would just listen to that on repeat the whole time.
Yeah.
And it would keep you right in the world. It would get you pumped up. You know, we'd start with the Next Generation theme, and then
It's like you could do like synthwave for hours if you were playing like a cyberpunk themed game.
sure, yeah.
And it's like, all right, do you feel like you're in the 80s? Kind of, but you're having a good time. I loved that I took this class. Music and cinema.
Nice.
So I'll use Star Wars briefly. The movie that we both agreed was really, really freaking annoying. Last Jedi.
yes,
That moment where they went to light speed
Mhm.
and crashed the ship. ignoring the mechanics of the action in universe,
Yes. Yeah.
the sound goes dead silent, and then you get the boom in a very
For that scene for itself, like if you take it out,
everything else out of context. Yeah.
That is probably one of the coolest shots in cinema I've seen in a long time. Like because the music goes to it, the sound goes nothing, and then just you watch this action. There's no sound to it, right? And then the sound comes after. It's a great scene. Horrible, shitty movie, horrible, shitty plot, horrible everything else. But that thing, I'm like, okay, I'll give you the one thing. But yeah, because of how they use of sound. If you made like a sound up to that point, it wouldn't hit as hard.
Or you have discordant, and this is sometimes how you remember a song.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who hate Christmas music, not because they hate Christmas, but because
it gets overplayed.
No, but like their dad died.
Yeah.
Or like something terrible happened during that season.
Yeah.
And what was playing in the background while they were mourning a loved one
Was Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah.
That's a little on the nose, but yes, absolutely. Or like I absolutely hate the song Christmas Shoes just because I think it's a stupid song, but like Jingle Bells in any form makes them want to cry for that reason.
Yeah.
And like there's in cinema and in shows, you will see scenes where like there's a happy song playing. Sometimes it's horror or suspense or a thriller, like, oh no, the door is open, the window's open, the curtains are fluttering in the breeze when everything was shut a minute ago. You still hear this happy music, but then like someone's reaching for the knife block on the kitchen counter to get that butcher knife because someone's here, and it's all tense, even though there's this happy music playing and that nice dissonant thing is happening in your head. That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. God, there's the words for it. Anybody who knows the proper words for this, like music in the scene that's legitimately from the scene, like, oh, there's a radio playing.
Okay, yeah.
Versus like
in the background?
Yeah, like it's part of the scene. It's
if the character's listening to something.
Yeah, like it's in the universe. It's versus like an actual soundtrack that's meant to affect the
so instead of overlay, it's like a sound effect, like the ring from Psycho. Like that's not the actual sound in there, but like you're talking about something else.
There's a phrase for it. I just can't think of what it is.
But that the earworm thing also is like the same thing. If I said right now, imagine hear the sound in your own head, the sound of Star Trek doors opening, you could hear it. Right.
Yeah.
But I tell you, hey, where was Riker standing on like this scene, or where does he always stand? It's harder to picture, right? Like, oh, was he on the right side or the left side of?
Now I'm thinking of the Riker maneuver. You know damn well what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So there's certain things like, but the sound, right? So
how tall is he? How did he pull that?
How does a phaser sound? What does the sound of a lightsaber going like that? Sounds will stick with you more than an image will.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Riker maneuver, there's a funny video on YouTube of
him jumping with a chair.
Well, it's him watching someone else do the Riker maneuver over increasingly larger things. Yeah,
I've seen it. Seen it. That's awesome. Jonathan Frank. He's
okay. We may have to pause at some point just to do that.
Like bought into he's like this is what I'm that and what's the other thing that like he's famous for? Fact or Fiction. I used to love that show. That show was so good. Oh God.
Yeah, the cut-ups of that where it's just like it's ridiculous stuff. And just him like saying all these things like does that
I mean, he's a good actor, and that some of those bits are fully acting. Is it fact or fiction? Like, God damn it, you know damn well this is fiction. Why? How much did they pay you for this? Yeah. Hopefully, pretty well.
Yeah. It's not. It's fact.
It's fact.
It really happened.
It really happened.
So we've been doing this for Star Trek the entire time. So I think we're ready for another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that everyone good?
Sure.
I'm good with it. Pull back your it should just Matt is magnetic. It should if you pull it towards you.
The whole thing?
Is that
It's not moving.
I think it's no. Yeah, it was aligned. It was it's I think he's just touching it a lot.
I am.
So I went to a panel at a convention where there was a writer who was talking about creating the wrong kind of tension in stories, unintended tension. And he referred to a play that he went to watch where there was a monologue by a famous character where the character goes all the way downstage and does this big monologue. And then in the background, one of the other characters, this female who's sitting at a table, had put her wine glass like right at the edge of the table, so it's like half on, half off. and nobody was paying attention to the guy that was downstage talking, monologuing, because everybody was like, that glass is going to fall over. Like,
They all wanted to see it.
Yeah.
We have a message from the Discord.
Yes,
they think
oh.
your mic is low, and that Matt is excited, which, yeah, I can feel that. Yeah, that's good.
I'm always
Exciting
excited.
about us.
Yeah.
Like, we don't exist.
No, we're just we're keeping things on an even keel.
Ah, sweet. Thank you, guys.
Declan's keeping an eye out on all of us. No. What are you apologizing for? You are keeping us on the
Damn.
narrow and making sure we don't mess up.
Thank you, man. So, yeah,
We need a D10
let's do,
at the very least.
we do need a D10. So, we can do one of two things. We can either add one or two stories to the story thing, because the only thing that we have left is Warhammer, or we can just go straight to whatever the D10 rolls. We'll just have to.
Let's add at least one. So we were talking about John Wick earlier, so we
Yeah.
can just throw that in because John Wick is fun.
John Wick.
Okay. Man, I got it.
Should we throw in John Wick / Matrix? Because
Well,
that was
Matrix.
that-
That'll be a separate
those
thing.
two
We can
together.
pull those together, but we can definitely add Matrix because that's just a fun thing that deserves.
So hey, so another story. If we're looking for stories,
Yeah.
so it's on Netflix called Alice in Borderlands.
What is it?
Alice in Borderlands. It's a South
Oh, is
Korean,
it-
it's a South Korean show.
Oh,
It's great. So basically, concept is everyone, like, these guys basically kind of get abducted like that. They wake up in a world where the world's still the same, but everyone else there's no one else there, at least as far as I know. And they basically get thrown into games that are deadly, and the games are based on cards from a deck of cards, right? So
How is this not Squid Game?
So
It sounds a lot like
Ooh,
that.
but so instead of being they still have to like eat like that. And if you don't show up for your game, you only have so many times you can't show up, and then you get shot by a laser from space and die.
What is it with Korea and death games?
No idea, man. I love South Korean shows on Netflix. They're great, like Sweet Home, all like that. But yeah, so Alice in Borderlands is a cool one. The base where they have to like, so then it's the whole concept of you start finding out more about what's actually on the games, but you then have to either betray your friends, because you may be in a game where there can only be, you may go in with a group of four. The four of us go into a game like, okay, we're going to do this, and you don't know what the game is, and then the game is, oh yeah, only one of you get to live. Now you have to figure out how you're going to, who's going to live through this.
It sounds like Squid Game with just a lot less players. But I'm going
There's a
to
lot of
look it
players.
up after this.
It's great. So Squid Game is
Borderlands.
Squid Game is all based on playground games. This is based on like there's some of the games are basically like you got to figure out, you're in a room, and these different rooms you have to figure out from how to get from one room to the next. If you choose the wrong room, then you might walk into a room and just on fire and instantly die.
So what was it? Something Alice
in Borderlands. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be like because I've yet to play that game, any of the Borderlands games.
Borderlands are great.
And I was kind of thinking like, was it going to be like the
Borderlands,
weird robot that's really
No.
annoying?
Oh, Claptrap?
No.
Claptrap.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we got new ones. We got
John Wick and Matrix for 5. Alice in Borderlands for 6. We still have Warhammer.
We still have Warhammer. Well, we can drop the ones we've already done. So we've done Loki.
Okay.
We've done Ready Player One. We've done Star Trek.
We can swap them out.
Let's swap them out. Yeah.
Let's swap them out. So Star Trek. What else can it be? Or sorry, number 1 could be something else.
Let's just move
Do you want Blue Eyes Samurai to go on there?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, let's do it.
I have been enjoying that one. Actually, I think I finished it.
1, 2, or 3. Star Trek's gonna come back real quick.
Blue Eyed Samurai for 1.
Blue Eyed Samurai.
Swap out 2.
Okay, so we still have to do Warhammer, right? So
We'll leave 40K can be number 2. So Star Trek. Damn it.
It's back.
Matrix /
John Wick.
We
How
got that down for 5.
Okay. Let's just roll a d6 and see what happens.
Okay.
You guys have pretty dice. Where did those come from?
So those were from a convention. I was looking for
Here's a
something
10.
that the
That's 12.
numbers
Never
were
mind.
easy.
there? 6.
Oh, those are extremely easy. That's why I kind of like them. They're very visible.
All right, so we're rolling
A d6 and a d10. That'll work.
Yeah.
All right, I'm rolling
Yeah.
6.
This one
I got a 1. We're doing Warhammer.
and a 0.
So that'd be 10.
That'd be 10.
That'd be a 10. So Blue Eyed Samurai for... Wait. Hold on. 6 is per the 6 I did landed on 1.
1, yeah.
Yeah.
So Blue-Eyed Samurai. And the 10 is the War Ambassador.
Okay.
War Ambassador.
So
All right.
this is animated. It's
Uh-huh.
on Netflix. Very violent, so definitely not for children.
Uh-huh.
16th, 17th century Japan. Blue eyes. Matter of fact, Declan, are you familiar with this content?
Yes.
Good? Bad? What are your feelings on it? Okay, cool. I have a
Yes.
All right, so we have a 16th, 17th century Japan where the Western world has not really injected itself into Japan yet. It's still very closed off.
Mm.
You start with this blue-eyed samurai wearing like colored glasses to hide the fact that they have blue eyes, because this is old school Japan. Japan already has some questions about
Asian culture is very
racism.
racist.
We'll
Yeah,
just
the,
we'll just
the,
put
the
that away.
South Korean, the Japanese, the Chinese hate each other because of racism.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then there's all the Europeans were. It's
Yeah,
just a big old fun
yeah.
pot. So you have all of the stereotypical behaviors of Japan from that time portrayed. I'm not sure how, accuracy. I'm assuming it's probably closer to true than not. Where having blue eyes kind of fucked up in the eyes of the Japanese. So this is a person who you don't really learn all that much about this person in like the first episode. This person basically stumbles into the company and care of a blind swordsmith in Japan. And is filled with a need for revenge against whoever her father is. And that is the first season, is this person trying... Oh, wait.
Animated films separate themselves from movies by leveraging animation to show us something cinematography cannot.
Yeah.
Blue-Eyed Samurai achieves the special level of creativity. So good.
Gets real violent. It borders into that John Wick level of nonsense. Like, how is this person still standing,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
let alone able to do this like less than 5 minutes after they've been grievously injured several times? You get over it.
Yeah.
The War Ambassador part might be rough here, but over the course of this, there's some other fun characters. They bounce in and out. There are some very fun little twists that by the last episode, it's like, oh, kind of saw this coming, but I'm glad they did it. They telegraph a couple interesting plot beats. The War Ambassador part, I think, is the main villain.
Are you talking about from Star Trek?
No, from Blue Eye Samurai.
Blue-Eyed Samurai, okay.
Wait, there's a Klingon in this?
No, well, I mean, in the eyes of the Japanese, he might be. Broad strokes, and I kind of wonder how true this might actually be. There were no white and Europeans were not allowed in Japan. Period. But obviously, at least one was there because there's a blue-eyed samurai running around. So, where are they? There's one holed up in a castle. This is not a spoiler. Kind of a douchebag. So you don't really mind that this person is going to try and kill this. He's kind of Irish, British-ish, maybe a little bit Scot. I can't ever quite place. Declan, what would you say the accent is for that guy? For Fowler.
And clarify for me, when you're talking about the war...
Scott, okay.
Scottish.
The War Ambassador, you're talking about in Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Yes.
That there's... Okay.
Yeah, kind of Scot, kind of Irish. It kind of...
Oh, there's a question mark, so...
Yeah, it's real ambiguous. It's not like a Londoner accent. But it's definitely not American. It's... Yeah. He's not happy about being there. His host isn't happy about him being there. There's clearly a lot of antagonism and just general unhappiness all around. But he kind of has to be there because he's facilitating a whole lot of money making for the Shogun.
Okay.
And it is, again, really violent. There are some very well edited episodes. Highly recommend. Declan already gave fantastic endorsement. So I feel vindicated in my choice in content. Thank you.
Yeah.
When I picked War Ambassador, I was
I'm thinking about that one episode in Star Trek
Yeah.
and Strange New Worlds where, yeah.
So for people that have not watched Strange New Worlds, spoiler alert, there's an episode in there where there is a Klingon who arrives at the USS Enterprise as a liaison, I guess,
Well,
to the Federation.
have you seen this episode?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you seen this episode
Or what?
of Strange New Worlds?
I haven't watched Stranger World.
Okay. So the broader context,
Yes.
this is kind of the original series time frame where the Federation and the Klingon Empire have had their war.
Okay.
We saw Discovery at all?
Nope.
Well, season 1 of Discovery is the Klingon War,
Okay.
Okay.
and so that's where this comes after that.
Right.
And Strange New Worlds all happens before the original series.
Okay. Yeah, wait, the Stranger isn't Stranger Worlds. Admiral, isn't it?
It's
Pike.
Captain Pike.
Yeah,
Captain
yeah,
Pike,
yeah.
who is by far, well, Patrick Stewart will always and forever be my favorite captain, followed by Cisco.
Yeah.
Pike is a
Cisco.
very close third.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Pike is the funny thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Pike was for the original pilot for Star Trek. They had a guy playing Captain Pike.
Mhm.
Yes,
He didn't screen well, and they replaced him with Shatner, who became Kirk.
correct.
The whole thing didn't screen well.
Yeah. That's what, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so like it's funny now that how like Pike has become like this, like, oh, they have a whole show about Pike.
Well, they
Pike
brought
is
him
amazing.
in.
But they brought him,
in the
but isn't he like that?
series.
Like the he's like it's paralyzed and like that. Yeah. So it's just it's funny. It's all because the actor playing Pike and that whole pilot didn't screen well. So like, yeah, we're scrapping. And then they bring in Shatner, who chews scenery and like overacts. But yeah.
Anyway, so it's not long after the Federation Klingon War.
Mhm.
This individual, who is Klingon, has become something of a peacemaker, a conflict resolver of a sort.
He's a defector from the Klingons.
Right.
And
Okay.
So
has
he-
kind of shed that citizenship.
He shed that side of his life.
Yeah.
Or he left that behind. He's more or less on the side of the Federation, but he has a specific history that is
Go for it.
Brutal.
Go for it.
bloody.
Yeah.
Just bloody, unkind is putting it mildly, and he leverages that to bolster his credentials when he is going to otherwise help groups in conflict to kind of calm the hell down a little bit, to put it mildly.
Showing how far he has come from being such a violent person to now he's the peacemaker.
Oh.
Because the credentials make it that much more of a juxtaposition between where he is now and where he came from.
Okay.
I won't spoil the rest of the episode, but that's the gist of who this person is. And for Blue Eye Samurai, this is a real stretch because that's not entirely true. I could find another way to do it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like I haven't seen that one, but it sounds like you have a character who's bent on revenge.
Yeah.
Where you have the same thing in that episode of Star Trek, where Dr. Mbenga he wants to get his revenge.
Yes. For further context, the doctor on the ship was a very, very effective soldier. I think that's a fair, very
Assassin.
understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
He druggy assassin. Stims. Yeah, that's right. He gave himself
Super serum.
Yep, super serum. It's fun.
So have you ever seen Rurouni Kenshin?
Way, way, way back.
Okay, so
The red-haired guy.
Yeah, red-haired guy, reverse bladed blade. But so that anime is actually based on an anime movie called Samurai X. Samurai X he's the Babuti. What is it called?
Kabuki?
Something Kenshin, right? So basically, this means the monster, the sword monster, like that. So he basically has massacred and slaughtered 1,000 people during this war between the shoguns, like that. And then in the movie, he actually chooses at the end, because of the things that happen, he kills a certain guy who's trying to protect one of the shoguns. He kills all his guards and kills the shogun. But that guy has a wife, and the guy won't die. He keeps getting up and trying to. And so the Samurai X, the main Rurouni Kenshin, has never been injured. And this one random guard who won't die because he wants to get back to his new wife cuts him one time, right? And so at the end of the actual show, or the end of the movie, basically the wife has working like to try to basically he goes to try to protect her, like that. He kind of falls in love with her, and like this whole weird kind of thing. Then she dies. Him trying to protect her. He then slices himself, or she slices him while she's dying to make the X on his cheek, Samurai X. That becomes a Rurouni Kenshin, where from that point on, he refuses to kill anymore. So he now uses a reverse-sided blade, so where he won't actually kill, but he'll beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Batman. Hey, yeah, no death, but traumatic brain injury is fine, I guess.
You
So-
won't walk again, but
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
actually going to kill you.
So it's when you're how you're describing it is this kind of like the war ambassador, kind of like of someone who has done horrific deeds and now is trying to move over into this. Hey, look, I'm good. You do, yeah, but you massacred thousands of people, man, at one point.
Yeah, it'd be like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, imagine Patton
Mhm.
leaving all of the bombast behind and then becoming, hey, let's not blow up the Ruskies.
No,
Let's not have a Cold War. Like,
As a
one,
hippie.
yeah, Patton as a hippie. Yeah.
I mean, that, oh my God.
Oh,
This
no.
is, I am digging this. This is fantastic. Or it's like, and I'm not, I swear I'm trying not to get into current events. I think it was Yitzhak Rabin of Israel. He was the prime minister. He was one of the few personalities who genuinely moved towards making peace with the Palestinians and a bunch of other things. He had the credit. He had done the deed. He had been the good soldier, the good officer. He had served Israel in a significant way. So he had the respect of that side of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
When he moved to try and do some of this stuff. That's kind of what the war ambassador is in this context. Like, I've been the evil bastard.
Yeah.
Look how far I've come. As you said, like, this is a bigger gulf for me to cross. The episode has other things to say about this, which is should we spoil it?
Let's do it.
I mean, people have had ample time to avoid.
That's true, but
And we've already thrown some spoilers.
but signing up for Paramount is such a big step because
I won't do it.
that was me. That was me for like several months.
Yeah, but by the time
my
they go
parents, yeah.
through, if they haven't seen it, maybe they haven't seen any of it. So by the time they actually watch all of it, they'll have forgotten what we said.
Avert your ears and your eyes.
And don't go to Wikipedia.
The war ambassador's a filthy liar.
Yeah.
He didn't do all that.
Oh,
The most horrible of killings.
Well,
It was the doctor.
He claimed that he killed his own generals
Okay.
because of the atrocities that was happening in this battle. But actually, it was the doctor sent as an assassin, and he killed them all. And this one general, he's the one who got away.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then he took the credit for killing his guys, and now he's reformed or whatever. But it was actually the doctor all along.
And the doctor was there, and he knows all this because he was the one who did it.
Yeah.
And at the end, well, I won't spoil everything, but yeah, that's the big reveal.
I'll spoil it now.
The wild thing is how textured the dialogue is, because everything that gets said throughout the episode, I just watched it again last night.
Oh yeah, that's right, because they know each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything there's a couple of key scenes in there. One of them is where the war ambassador invites the doctor to do some
Like jujitsu or something, like that. Yeah.
They're going to spar, and what happens is there's a conversation that they're having verbally, but there's also is the conversation that they're having physically.
Okay.
So if you watch the two conversations, you can see that there's like a whole cloak and dagger thing going on, where the verbally the war ambassador is trying to extend an olive branch. But he's like, I have some terms, but I think we could be very valuable to each other if we send the right message about you and me being allies.
Mm.
We don't have to be friends, but we can be allies. But when you look at the fight, and you're a wrestler,
Yeah.
like, watch the fight. No, sorry.
I'm pretty sure my parents have all the streaming things. I'll just take it from them.
Watch the fight. There is a language that they're using in that to talk about what the threats are, or what the intentions, or what the level of pressure that they're willing to put on each other as they're having these, like, watered down truths being spoken.
Okay.
Well, and they're not. I want to rephrase something. They don't really know each other in like the full sense, but they know that they were in the same place in the same battle and that kind of stuff. Like the full truth is not.
Passing the night kind of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like the War Ambassador really wants the Doctor to be on board with what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Doctor knows everything that the War Ambassador has been basing his entire shtick on is stark raving bullshit. And that doesn't come across until close to the end of the episode where other things happen. Yeah, there's another thing that happens.
And after that other thing that happens, there is a very particular. I mean, like it seems like a very benign journal entry on the.
Yeah, the episode ends a little kind of abruptly in a way like you guys are sidestepping like a whole lot of stuff.
Again, the language is so textured.
Yeah,
everything is double entendre. If you listen to what the Doctor's journal entry is, he had a plan.
Oh yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. Everything added up really, really nicely to explain everything that happened so that no one would take there would be no repercussions.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like,
we didn't tell him what there'd be repercussions for.
Murder.
Basically, there's a scene at the end where the Doctor finally confronts him. Basically, I know who you are because I'm the one who killed all your people.
Yeah.
And he has proof.
And he has proof of it because he's got this particular blade.
That has the blood of the people he killed. Yeah. And it's a Klingon blade.
Yeah. So then there's this. Then you see from outside of the sickbay,
like through frosted glass, kind of.
So you know they're in there. You can hear them, and there's a confrontation, and then the Klingon is dead, and the Doctor's like, "Well, he attacked me.
Wow.
I defended myself,
and that was how I had to."
He had the blade, and actually, now that I think about it, he cemented the War Ambassador's legacy because the War Ambassador came at him with the blade that killed the other generals. And now it's like everything he did must have been legit. But now he's dead.
Yeah. Cool.
Really good.
It's a fun episode.
Yeah.
Great episode.
But it still then is like just wraps up real quick. He's like, oh, well, that's that.
Wasn't that the episode before the sing-along?
Oh, dear God, that episode.
Like, I'm pretty sure they were side by side because it was a very, like, when you watch them, it was like, you had super heavy and then it was like really light and you had like disco Klingons.
Yeah.
And
yes, I'm not kidding. They mess with subspace and suddenly everyone busts out singing like they're in a musical. And in a proper musical fashion, they are singing their most innermost, deepest thoughts as parts of character development.
But it becomes a problem because they're starting to share like actual secrets.
And
like, so now like they got to fix this thing. Otherwise they're going to like spew all their secrets to whoever.
Or first it's like Captain Pike telling his other captain, also girlfriend, how he feels and how he doesn't want to go on her version of it's a holiday, like a vacation.
Yeah.
And she's like, should you be telling me this in front of your bridge crew? I can't help myself. And it's like, so, and then at the end, he's like, what the fuck did I just do? Not in so many words. And then
disco Klingons.
Then there's
like
literally disco Klingons, yes, because of course they're going to be disco Klingons.
Of course.
Honestly, that made the whole episode. I love that, just the disco Klingons.
It was poppy. It was not what you would expect. Yeah, you are shaking your head, and you are correct to do so. However,
you don't have to watch the episode, but just watch that clip.
Okay.
It's just
it's fun. It's fun.
It is fun.
All right, so we definitely rolled that one up.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see how we have time.
It's a little past 8.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can either do a last one really quick, or we can talk about what kind of stories are we looking forward to that are coming out soon.
Oh wait, we have
less fucks in Star Trek than there should be. Are you meaning the word fuck or the less people fucking?
Or giving fucks.
I mean, I feel like they're having fun, but they're just not doing it on screen.
I'd say fuck all the time if I was in a space battle.
Yeah.
Nah.
Lower Decks, they do curse a fair amount, but it's in a comedic fashion. So I think in terms of the broader range of IP, we've got some fuckery going on. Fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like my South Park. I mean, I would also be just...
Yeah, if I was the captain, I'd probably respond to that.
Well, I'd be in like a proper,
Yeah.
hopefully a proper spacesuit, and not just spandex jumpers.
Yes.
And I would probably just, well, hopefully that'd just be my regular day. I'm just going to pee my pants anyway because I'm in space and I can do that because I've got an awesome suit on. Or I'm in somewhere in Dune.
Yeah, drink your own pee. I just watched that on a flight back from Boston.
It's the new one?
Yeah.
Have you seen the original one?
Oh yeah.
Which one is trippier?
The trippier, like the original is trippy as shit because it's made in like the 80s and shit, and it's just like drug induced cocaine, like freaking high like that. Now, having read the book Dune, the new one is much closer representation of the book.
Also trippy as hell because they borrowed a lot of stuff from the old movie.
Well, it's another thing. So like they borrowed some from the old movie, but it's close to the book. But then like if you, cause I haven't read any of the sequels to Dune.
It gets really weird.
Just don't like it gets weird.
Yeah.
It gets. Really
I think
weird.
we're doing the second thing. We're talking about content that we've seen or hope to see because I really want to see the second half.
I can't wait. Now, so the problem I had with where they ended Dune, they should have not ended this new remake on Dune like with being in two parts. It should have been, instead of him having the battle, like, or fighting the guy and killing him, like, it should have just been the Fremen on the rock, them on the rock, and that's where it should have ended. Like,
good cliffhanger.
That's a
like they did with the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, that's a better cliffhanger than basically doing, oh, now they fight it, and they're going to go, I'm like, you've already kind of, like, that should have been how the next movie, the part 2 started, was with that, because then you would have to, like, try to think, that's the only take, like, the only...
It's too big of a story for one movie, but it's not. I feel like it's going to be trilogy. I think it's just going to be 2 movies. Though.
Yeah, it's 2.
Or like miniseries, but then they have to like serialize it, and
so they did a miniseries way back when on Sci-Fi, a Dune miniseries.
Really?
Yeah. And then they tried to make the sequels. They tried to do the Children of Dune, and it didn't do well. But the original miniseries of Dune was on Sci-Fi. Early thousands or late 90s?
Before they renamed their to SYFY and really went off the rails.
I think before when it was still the Sci-Fi Channel instead of SCI-FI. Yeah, but so then because miniseries for a lot of these things are a better way to go. So like as I discussed earlier, this hatred for the Shining movie. There was a miniseries on, I think it was TBS, of The Shining.
Okay,
fantastic. Had the guy from Wings, the brother. Remember that show Wings?
Bold?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So not the main guy, like the guy who owned the place. His other brother, like the comedic brother, he played Jack Torrance. So he was the actual, and it follows the book much closer.
And you're talking about Wings, like where it's like the weird little like. Airports.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wings. Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from? I haven't heard anybody talk about that in a decade and a half.
I used to watch that show all the time. Yeah, like so. Yeah. The thing, like my family, we'd sit and we'd watch. So like I remember going back to Star Trek. I remember clear as day the episode, the first time, one of the first times, other than like like what I corrects me all the time, like, now the first cliffhanger in television was Dallas. I'm like, nobody gives a shit about soap operas. People give a shit about Star Trek, where when Picard gets taken by the Borg and he does, they're talking, I'm acute as a Borg, and Riker does fire, and then it cuts. And that was the season finale, and people are like, I'm sorry, what the fuck just happened? Like, you don't end Star Trek an episode, let alone the season, on this. And like I remember laying in my living room with my parents watching that and do the hell.
What do we do? It's like we're not seeing anything until October, baby.
It was my first experience to a cliffhanger of that kind of magnitude. You do, I'm sorry, and then now it's become such commonplace in television that
even in kids shows, like kids shows will do it too.
Everything.
All right, we're doing like the actual opposite, like really cool things we remember seeing, and we're just bouncing all over the place.
No, because I might actually go back and watch some things now.
Yeah.
So talking about stories that stick in your head.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Lim.
There's at least a couple of episodes from Wings that, like, for whatever reason, when my mind wanders, like, it digs up from, the cached memory banks, things from, like, Harry and the Hendersons, Major Dad.
What about Bob?
So, and like Wings, remember
And
who the
Wings.
taxi driver was?
Oh, is
Monk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
curly-haired OCD guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's his name?
I know
Mass
his
Effect, I
name
can't
will
remember
come
the
to
name.
me in
Yeah,
like 2
remember that.
days.
So going like back to that, like the
Then there was a blonde girl in the window.
yeah. What kind of stuff like that. But yeah. So, but miniseries are sometimes so much better. So you have like the Dune miniseries, you have the Shining miniseries,
Mhm.
and then like a friend of mine at work, he's reading because I told him to read The Dark Tower, right? And so he's trying to read that, but like before that, he wanted to read the Stand, right? Great book.
Yep.
Awesome like that. Now he was like, yeah, but like, so he's like, I'm reading The Stand. He's like, but I also want to watch the show. I'm like, because they just did a remake.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was like, dude, don't even bother. Watch the old made for TV miniseries movie. And he said he got through like the first like hour or so of the new one. He went, I turned it off and I turned on the original one. He's like, it's far superior. I was like, it's so much better.
Yeah. Speaking of the Dark Tower, we were talking about this beforehand.
Yeah.
There is so much time between when that thing started and when it ostensibly ended, and people have very strong feelings about how that whole series.
Oh, I love how it ends.
I like how it ends, but I also like that it doesn't. I like cyclical things, but here's a series. Have you seen Dark?
I started watching it. But
It's in German.
Yeah.
I would recommend watching it with subtitles because the dubbing is just so bad.
Yeah.
It plays with time.
Okay.
And we're do this really quick. There are 2 ways of handling time travel: one where you can change things, and another one where you can't.
Okay. Yep.
2 broad ranges of it. This kind of leans into the latter, which is really weird because they hold to the continuity really well in this show, but ultimately it's a show where you are stuck at the end of the world.
Okay.
I won't spoil it beyond that because they have a lot of fun with it, and it's a very interesting way that they end it.
Yeah. But the Dark Tower is not technically cyclical.
Not technically. It kind of hints at it starting all over again.
It starts over,
but it's
something
different.
that's changed every time.
Yes.
And so now you're trying to figure out how many times has he gone through the cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And overall, I like the vaguely techno. Yeah, I'll stop talking. All right.
I was going to say the same thing kind of happens with Loki, where after a couple of conversations, Loki's like, "But had this conversation."
Well, so and that's why time travel is one of my apps. Like I'm trying to explain. My daughter and myself get into it all the time, basically talking about time travel stories, and you cannot do, no matter what, how even the best time travel stories always fail. Like there's always a flaw, right? So in Loki, it's who wrote it first? Who wrote the book first? Well, it's a cyclical story, but you can't have a cyclical story. There has to be a beginning point of something has to be created at some point, which means you cannot have a cyclical time travel story where it means, oh, I didn't write the book. I read the book that you wrote, but I wrote the book based on the book that you wrote.
Declan seems to be on with us on this one, I think.
So, but then, because you have the two types of time travel stories, right? You have either it's just a cycle and it always has happened because it has to happen because it's happened, or you have hey, I went and changed the past, but I can't change my own past, which means I just made an alternate timeline.
Yeah, so it's like Back to the Future. Yeah.
So yeah, or Loki, right? Basically the branching.
The movie Arrival. Yeah, Arrival is another one that's the latter side of it where time is a static, unchanging thing. And the Arrival has a very interesting concept, which it's fun. I think the underlying concept is kind of BS, but the concept of it is very, very fun.
So because Interstellar is another one that basically it's technically time travel, but you do if you view time as basically space. So you have time and you have space time. You have space time and space time. So and it's where start playing with that, and now you are looking at being so far in the future that they are no longer 3-dimensional beings; they're 4th-dimensional beings. They're basically they can manipulate time like we can manipulate matter. So you do that is possible, but it still falls in the same problem where you do. So now you have a fifth dimensional being that can manipulate time having to go back. But if they did not go back to this point in time to change the course of human history, they would not exist to go back to change this course of history. You fall into a cyclical cycle again.
Even for
time travel
Interstellar,
is not possible.
it's still Matthew McConaughey. Like, oh no, that's one of these beings. We're gonna touch fingers. No, that's Matthew McConaughey. Like, a decade in the future.
Yeah.
And that's where time is an immutable thing that cannot be changed. So you going back in time is exactly what was supposed to happen in order to allow everything else to happen. So there's no changing the timeline.
But if you didn't go back in time, it's now...
Yeah, that's where it's like, it becomes the rules have become very rigid and then very boring. Like
the remake of the Time Machine, right, has one of the best explanations of why time travel cannot happen. So his wife dies, and he creates a time machine to go back to save his wife. But every time he goes back to save his wife, she still dies in another way. And he can't figure out why he can't save his wife. So he tries to go to the future to see if there's an answer in the future. And then he gets stuck 10,000 years in the future, more advanced race. And the guy explained he says, if your wife didn't die, you would not have dedicated your life to create a time machine to go save your wife. So if she survives, you would have never created a time machine to go back to save your wife. Which means it is a constant in the universe that has to happen.
It boils down to Doctor Who logic.
Yeah.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, but this is a fixed moment in history. We can't fuck with that. Which I always hated so much, but it seems to work.
There are a couple of movies that come to mind that are for the romantics who are not into time travel, but these movies make time travel a little bit more accessible. Adrian Brody was in The Jacket.
Okay. Yeah.
That one is one where Adrian Brody's character is admitted to the loony bin, and as unconventional treatment for people who have gone crazy, they take him, put him in a straitjacket, and shove him in one of those morgue lockers, and just, I don't know, to self-soothe or something like that.
Or like a sensory deprivation, but
Right.
on the cheap.
But every time he goes into that morgue locker, his consciousness gets transported to a new point in time where he meets a girl, and it's apparent that between the two of them, they figure out that when he's with her, he's in the future. And he realizes that through her, that he has died, and he's using her to research how did he die, and is there a way to stop it? Because he wants to get out of the loony bin so that he can meet her in his timeline where he comes out of the morgue locker and his treatment goes well, and he wants to be able to come out and be able to be with her.
Yeah, meet her. Yeah.
That's one of the ones where the outcome just seems to be always the same no matter what he does. Kind of movies, but it's I wouldn't call it a romantic comedy, but it's like a romantic mystery.
Yeah.
The other one is Lake House.
Okay.
Where
I think I've heard of that one.
Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, again in a movie together, they both own at different points in time a house on a lake. And they wind up finding this out when they correspond with each other by putting things in the mail that the other one in their side of the timeline pulls out.
Okay.
So very interesting because she tries to alter. I forget who's ahead and who's behind, but she tries to alter it so that they're able to finally meet in person. Because it's like a long distance, but not distance,
across time and space.
Space, relationship. And there are various things that happen where she's like, I don't think we're going to be able to meet. And there's several things.
Declan says we need to watch that without crying.
Oh my God.
I refuse to take that challenge because last time I did, I cried like a little boy.
I'm going to have to, there's a lot of these either movies or shows or books that I haven't read or seen. I'm going to have to add them all to my list that maybe I'll get to do in like a decade.
Or with headphones on. Well, only half on, so you can still hear what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If the baby starts crying, put on Lake House, you can cry together.
There
He
you go.
doesn't cry, remember, he penguins. He's...
Oh, no, how old is he?
He is 3 months.
Oh, he'll find a way.
I mean, no, he
will
does. He
evolve.
actually does cry sometimes, but like to let us know that he's demanding attention. He's whack,
Nice.
whack.
That's great. I love that. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be cooking my breakfast, and I thought he was asleep, and I hear whack, whack, and I'll hear him just shuffling around, whack. Yeah.
When you get time, what are you looking forward to? Watching, reading, playing, story-wise?
I'm looking forward to a lot of things. I've bought a lot of books lately. That I'm looking forward to reading. Some just quick, easy reading. Paul McCartney's lyrics. I know most of the information that's in that book, but still there'll be some things that I can find and learn about. There's a new biography also on him that focuses on his life after the Beatles, but it does it also in a way where it analyzes his music. It was written by musicians.
Okay.
And so it's more of an analysis while also putting everything into the context of his life. Like, where was he when he wrote this song? What was influencing him? What was he writing? Like, it just puts it unpacks it a little bit deeper than other biographies, and it really focuses on this one period in the 70s, or at least the volume that I have. And then Patrick Stewart wrote his memoirs. I want to read those. I just got that. Someday. I just need time to play guitar.
There's I think it's a movie that I was told about where somebody goes back in time and the Beatles have not happened. The Beatles won't happen.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
And like
it's a show.
that
yeah.
person, or they never existed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's
existed, yeah.
And he starts.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah, he gets hit by a bus,
Yeah.
and when he wakes up,
It's like 1960 or something. Yeah.
No, it's present day.
Oh, and he just starts putting out the
He's
songs.
in a different universe where the Beatles never existed, and so he's like, okay, I can just pretend they're my songs, and he becomes huge and famous and all. It's a very good movie.
And then someone's like, "How did you get my songs?" Like that's in the trailer. Like that's I think there's like a bit where he gets like a note or
it's
something.
a bit misleading.
Of course it is. It's the trailer.
That because yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But,
Shocking.
No, that's worth watching if
Okay.
you.
Yeah. I'm interested.
The covers, like the performances of the Beatles songs in the movie are very good. It's the one I would say negative part about it. There is a will they, won't they relationship aspect with him and his manager that just plays out way too long. Because they're going to wind up together at some point, and it just takes way too long for them to get to that point. So if they got rid of that aspect of the story, it would be a better movie.
Yeah.
I will say the scene with Ed Sheeran. Did I tell you about this scene?
Yeah.
The scene with Ed Sheeran is one of my favorites, and I talk about it a lot. So Ed Sheeran's playing himself, and here he is with this guy who's supposedly now the new greatest songwriter out there, and they're at this party. And Ed Sheeran's like, all right, here's a challenge. We're each going to go in separate rooms by ourselves for like 15 minutes and write a song and come out and see who can write the better song. So Ed Sheeran goes and he comes out and he's got this silly cute little love song that he wrote. And the other guy comes out and he plays the Beatles song, The Long and Winding Road, which if you don't know it, it is a beautiful song. And by far dwarfs anything that someone else could write in 15 minutes. And but Ed Sheeran, I mean, again, he's playing a caricature of himself, but just like you can just watch the jealousy and him being like, I hate you now. Like he does such a good job. It's such a funny scene because the second the song starts and everyone in the party's just like, oh, and you just watch that look on his face, like, oh, that's real.
That's real good. Shit.
Yeah.
Why did you make something good? This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining. This has
Thank
been
you for
fun.
having
This
us.
has
Yeah,
been
it was good.
fun.
Yeah, it was good.
How was the viewing experience for those out in the real world?
Pretty sure that's Nick.
Something yesterday.
Right.
The movie.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, thumbs up.
All right.
There you
More
go.
dynamic, more energetic.
I mean, only one thumbs up. Earlier he gave two. So
I mean, we were talking about Blue-Eyed Samurai.
I don't
We
know.
we had a thing going.
So
isn't that the standard? It has to be two thumbs up to be good. Siskel and
Yeah.
Ebert set that
Okay,
standard.
yeah, it's the Fonz.
But then
We only got one.
It's gotta be the Fonz. Hey.
well, you and I both know somebody who does the two thumbs up thing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Hey. Good times.
Good
All
times.
right.
Good Times Mead was
Mhm.
supplied to us for this episode by somebody who has not yet opened for business. But when he does, Good Times Mead is going to be amazing.
Mhm.
Apple cider mead and metheglin, which is tea mixed with mead. And I do have one more plug. If you're interested in buying or selling or investing in property in Northern Virginia, reach out to G&K Group at gkgroupva.com, especially if you're in the military, an educator or a first responder or a doctor, because beyond getting such epic go-getter real estate agents to work with, you can leverage the Homes for Heroes program. Ask about the Hero Reward Check, where you can get back about $700 for every $100,000 in sales price. I feel like this is hitting you in some fields, having just moved into a house. G&K Group can also hook you up with a Homes for Heroes agent in your area if you're not looking for property in the Northern Virginia area. Check out G&K Group at gkgroupva.com. And go to the show notes because we've got the merch link down there. I thank you so much for sporting some of the merch. I have additional merch I can show off. Actually, all of us have been showing off some merch.
Yay.
And we've also got jackets and blankets. And
I think there's a pilot over on that side, isn't there?
there is, actually. Like, if you want to fan those out.
Hold it all up for the camera to see
Oh, wow.
because
Oh,
actually,
yes,
let me see.
yes.
Oh, I like this one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a book from my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
As the librarian says,
Very cool.
So,
yay, stuff.
jacket, and it says, "You meet at a tavern."
Nice.
So come
Tell your own stories with these.
Cool.
So, for those, you need to go to the Etsy shop, look for Divergent Art Styles. And the link is in the show notes, but Divergent Art Styles is also there if you want to start an LLC or start your own company and you're looking for, the team shirts or the mugs or some swag to hand out at your next convention. So get in touch with Divergent Art Styles and work with them on whatever your style is. And they've done great for me. And you can get some stuff for yourself too. So these are shirts in light and dark green. They have the Tavern Stories logo on them. If you've seen them before, if you've seen my previous episodes, you can get telling like Chris has.
Was that good enough?
Yes, it is. It's
Okay, very good.
outstanding.
Fantastic.
So telling on one side if you have the storytelling chops, or listening to if you are listening to the podcast. So, and that's it, guys. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
in
Yeah.
the finished episode, we'll be able to hear your song at the very tail end.
Nice.
Nice.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Check out Loki.
So leave, turn it off now before the song plays.
Can the editor just drop in bits of music that we talked about? That would be fantastic. Which means if you just edited and got to this point, you're going to be very upset. So I apologize now and don't listen to me ever.
We'll get a thumbs up from. Oh, yes, you have two choices. You can like it or love it.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Come back to the tavern with some good stories.
Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt now. Don't touch my butt. Don't give it a smack. Don't give it a pinch. And if you play nice, you can give it a sniff. Don't give it a slap. Don't give it a tap. Please don't stick your finger inside my crack. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt now. Don't touch my butt. I know it's squishy and it's plump. I know it's round. Ooh, and it makes such cool sounds. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt now. Don't touch my butt. kind of scary. But darling, you know these cheeks are real. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt now. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch my butt. All right, everybody. We are Loathsome Wind. And we are here with a very important message for you all. And it can be summed up in just one word. Consent. That's right. C-O-N... Sent. Consent. It means you must ask and then receive permission before you can touch. But I know you're at home thinking, hey man, how am I supposed to just ask someone to touch them on their butt? Well, I got some good news for you. There's a little thing called honesty, and you can use it. Just go up to the object of your desire and say, excuse me, but you have quite the exquisite derriere. May I place my hand upon it? And if they say yes, then great! Touch away. Tell your friends. But if they say no, then you gotta fuck off. Cause there's plenty of other cheeks in the sea. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch it. Don't touch the butt now. Don't touch it. Don't touch my butt. Don't touch it. Don't touch the butt now. Don't touch it. Don't touch